Today we are studying dual nature of radiation and matter. In this chapter we will study photoelectric effect and the de Broglie's equations. So before studying first topic we have is photoelectric effect. Before studying photoelectric effect, some basic things we have. So the first is free electrons. So what are free electrons? In metals, the electrons in the outermost shell, they are very loosely bound. These electrons are called free electrons because these electrons, after getting a very small amount of energy, they becomes free and can move easily within the surface of metal. That is why these electrons, loosely bounded electrons, are called free electrons. Now what amount of energy is required to make them free? This energy is called work function. So work function, it is all denoted by letter phi naught or W naught. So it is the minimum amount of energy required to just eject the electron from the surface of metal. So when this energy electron may gain by different methods, so we will discuss that. So now this process, when it gets energy and get ejected from the metal surface, this is called electron emission. That is, the process of emission of electron from the surface of metal is called electron emission. So that means some minimum amount of energy is required for that, which we have discussed is a work function. Why this minimum energy is required? Because whenever the electron is ejected from the metal surface, that metal, because of losing electron, become positively charged, and hence it will attract the electron back to its surface. That means electron cannot get ejected from the metal surface till it has some energy to overcome that attractive force. So that amount of energy is called work function, as we have discussed. Now what are different methods for electron emission? Methods for electron emission or photoelectric emission. So we have here first method, thermionic emission. As the name suggests, when emission of electron takes place by heating the surface, then it is called a thermion emission, as the thermal means related to heat. So in this, the electron which will be ejected, these electrons are called thermal electrodes or thermions. Next method to eject electron is filled emission or cold cathode emission. Again, the name suggests filled emission. That means in this process, the emission of electron from metal surface will take place by applying a strong electric field. So whenever strong electric field will be applied, it will exert force on charge, that is electron, and the electron will get ejected from the surface. A very strong electric field is required for this purpose, round about of 10 raised to power 8 volt per meter. Then third method of emission of electron is called secondary emission. Again, as the name suggests, secondary emission. So in this process, a fast moving electrons, which are also called primary electrons, they are made to bombard the metal surface, made to strike the metal surface, due to which they transfer their energy to the electrons on the electrons which are on the metal surface, and they get ejected. So this process is called secondary emission. In this process, the electron emitted, these are called secondary electrons. Next method we have is photoelectric emission. That is photoelectric. Again, the name suggests, when photon strikes, that is light strikes the metal surface, the process of emission of electrons from metal surface when light of suitable frequency strikes the surface is called photoelectric emission. And the electron so produced, so emitted, are called photoelectrodes.